What a Catch, Part 101, a Miraculous Ladybug Fanfiction. If you have not heard the previous 100 parts of this story, you can find a link to them in the description box below. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this channel to stay up to date on the latest parts of your favorite fanfiction. And, if you'd be so kind, make sure to give this video a thumbs up to show your support. Cat Blanc took a deep breath, begging the world to stop him. He didn't want to do this. He'd never wanted to do any of Hawkmoth's dirty work, until he did. How many times had he circled, hating his master and then living for his bidding? He wanted Ladybug to take him out, but he wouldn't go down without a fight. The gala's guests thought this was some kind of show, and he hated it. They should run to safety, but he wasn't allowed to warn them. The 3 restrictions Hawkmoth placed on him were clear. First, don't reveal weakness, for both him and Hawkmoth. Second, only focus on the target. If something is distracting, destroy it. Third, get the Miraculouses by any means possible. The feeling in his gut climbed up his diaphragm and settled like a weight on his chest. He didn't want to do this. He didn't want to use his powers. Now that he was lucid to his akumatization again, he knew this was the 4th time he'd met his former partners like this. Last time he'd broken Alia's Miraculous and somehow lost Nino's by the end of the battle. He wasn't sure how Nathaniel ended up with it, but he felt bad dragging his high school buddy into this. Hawkmoth used to only target the Cat Noir ring and Ladybug earrings, but ever since Cat Blanc became his companion, he was obsessed with acquiring all of them, paranoid that they would one day be used against him, even after using the wish the Miraculous would supposedly grant him. It was annoying, but Ladybug's Miraculous proved to be the hardest to acquire, so taking out her comrades was part of the plan anyway. He was stronger than them and knew all of their fighting patterns already. Ladybug's yo-yo whipped him back to reality. Oh yeah, they were fighting. Rena Rouge was on the banister with Nino Noir, with Ladybug a few paces to his right. Queen Bee ran in, followed by Nathaniel, completing the scene. What a fool. Nathaniel should hide, as he was the easiest target. Well then, Cat Blanc murmured, let's get this show started. One of the perks to his white suit was the luck he had. As Queen Bee ran towards him, she slipped on the rug beneath her, taking her out and giving him an easy target. In an instant he had her pinned, her Miraculous a finger's length away. Don't worry, he said, reaching into her hair. I'll make sure they don't remember your identity. He felt a blow to his left cheek, but didn't let go of the hairpiece, giving it a solid tug as she struggled. He felt Ladybug's yo-yo wrap around his wrist and smiled to himself, knowing her efforts were futile. He grasped the rope and tugged, flipping his lady off her feet. You know, Cat began, you might be Lady Luck, but there's no one to take the bad luck from you anymore. What do you mean? Ladybug asked, spite in her voice. Cat Noir. I took the fall for you. Always. Well then, it's good to know I have the advantage. Pardon? The smirk on her face worried him. He might not be my Cat Noir, but I've got a black cat on my side. The sound of a flute filled his ears, and Cat Blanc found himself surrounded by dozens of Nino Noirs. As they disappeared, punch after punch, he noticed Chloe slip away. That's fine. She couldn't do anything that could actually hurt him anyway. Right now, he had 3 jobs. Find Rena, take Nino Noir's Miraculous, and figure out Ladybug's next move. First, find Rena Rouge. It was harder than he thought it'd be. He knew she liked to hide in high places, but the number of fake Nino Noirs he had to cast out of the way to climb the banister made him feel sluggish. It had been a while since he needed to move as Cat Blanc. By the time he reached the top of the banister, Cat had a good idea of where Rena was. There was a door near the railing that hadn't been there the last time he looked. Perfect. But how should he approach it without alerting her? The solution came easily. Backflips. He pretended to jest with a Nino Noir illusion, stepping backward gracefully, as though sparring were a dance. The fight led him close enough to the fake door to give him a good angle. He swung a punch at the fake Nino to disperse it, surprised to feel his fist make contact. It wasn't an illusion. He was the real Nino Noir. So much for a parkour style of fighting. He'd have to get serious. Nino's Miraculous would have to come first. It didn't matter what order Cat Blanc got things done in, so long as he finished his chores. He'd sparred with Nino in the past, but he must have improved since then, as his parring ability was significantly better than the last time they fought. It might be the Cat Noir ring adding to his agility, or how long it'd been since the last time Adrien wore the white, akumatized suit, but Nino Noir was giving him a tough time. He hated to do it, but there was an easy solution. A mind prison. Cat Blanc had only used it twice in the past, and it was one of the skills he developed over time, as his powers had roots in memory and strength of mind. Sighing, he reached out his hand and brushed Nino Noir's head, guilt eating into his gut. The pseudo-superhero immediately froze in place. Fear etched onto his face. Who knows what he was seeing, but whatever his worst fears were playing behind his eyes. The illusion of a door Rena Rouge hid behind dissipated as she ran over to her husband in worry. This was almost too easy, although Cat Blanc was a bit worn from making a mind prison. He stepped forward to take care of to-do list numbers 1 and 2, only to find his chest restrained. He looked down to see a yo-yo wrapped around him. He forgot about Ladybug. Cat Blanc's first interest was to leap away, but the string dug into his suit and bruised the skin underneath. That wouldn't work, now would it? He was a cat wrapped up in string. "What did you do to him?" he heard Ladybug say, her voice filled with contempt. Her tone hurt him, just a bit. He could understand her anger, but who he was at his core loved Ladybug and didn't want her to hate him. It was a little late for such sentiments, but the moment of hesitation sealed his fate. Ladybug and her comrades had him cornered, at least for now. "Where is it?" she yelled, tugging him closer. "Where's what, my lady?" She flinched at the nickname. "The Akuma." Cat Blanc gave her a small, pitying smile. "You were there the night I got akumatized. Shouldn't you know this?" "Something tells me you've tampered with my memory more than a few times. How would I know?" "Then I have the advantage." He stepped backward toward the banister, feeling the yo-yo string tug against him. It would hurt a bit, but his goal wasn't to unwind the string completely. With a final push of resistance, Cat Blanc used the railing as a fulcrum point to swing his weight, taking Ladybug with him. She had no choice but to unwrap her yo-yo, else she'd fall too. To his surprise, she didn't. Ladybug fell with him. His head snapped forward as he hit the floor before feeling a slap of weight as she fell onto his chest. Had he not been transformed, the fall would be enough to put him in a coma at the very least. Cat had to blink a few times to focus his vision, and his ears rang. Shouldn't his suit protect him from damage like this? "If you're a good kitty, I'll give you a treat," Ladybug said, softly enough that he could tell it was meant only for his ears. "Yeah?" he grunted, still trapped in string. "What's that?" "I'll get rid of that little insect that's been bugging you." Did she know what it was? He couldn't touch where the Akuma was hiding in this position, but she was close enough to take it out and be done with it all. The thought was a pleasant one. Him no longer serving for Hawkmoth would be a blessing, and for a moment Cat let his muscles relax, resigned to his fate. He felt his head throb for disobeying Hawkmoth, but if he could withstand it for a few moments more, then both he and Marinette could... Marinette. A memory flashed back, stirring his resolve. If Ladybug were to de-evilize him, then Marinette would remember what Cat Blanc took from her. He was protecting her from her own memories, and knowing what happened would hurt her. He couldn't let that happen. He kicked his feet up, shifting Ladybug's balance. She wrapped her hands around his face to steady herself, but it was enough. The yo-yo's thread loosened as he flipped over, pinning her against the ground. "Gotcha," he said, reaching for her earrings. Cat wanted to be gentle, but he'd rip them out if he had to. "That's what you think!" The voice was behind him, and before he could turn around, he took a blow to the back of his head. As his vision blurred, Cat struggled to leave, but couldn't. Someone was restraining him from behind as another pair of hands tied something around his eyes. He twisted his hands, throwing off the balance of whomever restrained him and giving him the opportunity to put them in a mind prison. To his surprise, he felt something slip onto his hands instead. What was going on? His senses were dull from the blow he took, but it felt like he was getting ganged up on. Nino and Rena Rouge were out of the question. Chloe didn't have a Miraculous, and Ladybug couldn't possibly be doing this. Who was helping Ladybug? Thank you so much for listening. Part 102 is on the way. In the meantime, you can check out these other videos for more fanfiction. I'll catch you next time.